Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session on building a future-ready AppSec program. The speakers for this are LaFrance, SVP of Information Security at Planet Art, and Syed Ghayur, who is VP of Customer Success at 𝗲𝗲𝗡. Both of them are experts at conceiving an AppSec program and rolling it out so that it is not ready just for today's challenges, but also the future challenges. So let's take a look at what they have to share.
Hello and welcome to our AppSecOps session here, building a future AppSec program. If you had the opportunity to see the other session, which was AppSec 101, we can easily call this AppSec 201. Here with me, I have LaFrance, who has done AppSec 101, and we will be focused more on going a little bit deeper around building your AppSecOps program. And myself, Syed Ghayur, I'm leading the customer success and solution engineering team here at 𝗲𝗲𝗡. And my main goal or my team's goal is to assist our customers implement a successful application security apps program. And today we will just discuss more around our journey with our customers, and also Luca sharing his experience around building a successful program. With that, over to Luca.
Hi, I'm LaFrance. I am the Senior VP of Security at Planet Art. I've been working with the 𝗵𝗚lebook community and some of the team for maybe a few months with the 𝗵𝗚lebook community, and over a couple of years with some of the team who's behind the 𝗵𝗚lebook community. It's really nice to be here. And like Syed said, as we move forward, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into some of the concepts that I presented earlier in the AppSec 101 presentation. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. But we will dive right in right now.
Thanks, Luca. And as you covered, like why application security or AppSec, we will pass that discussion. We can definitely look into AppSec 101 session for that. But building a program, and one of the things which I have noticed talking to prospects, they are coming and trying to looking at buying the technology, and really until you have people and process identified, buying technology is more the later, should come later part. And from that perspective, we'll be focusing on more people, process, and technology today. And what your experience has been on that aspect, like when you build a team, build a program, where did you start?
It all starts with the business. We can't actually build a successful application security program at all until we have real support from the business. So I like to start from the very top. Make sure that the CEO, make sure that the CTO, the CIO, who's ever in charge of both the business and the technology parts of the business are really keenly aware of why we need application security, what is the motivation behind application security. So when we can get the business on board, everything else is going to flow from there. That's going to help from the leadership perspective. Everything will flow downhill, and gates will be opened if we can get leadership on board to start. So that's the very, very first part of building any sort of security program, and especially an application security program.
So essentially, everybody should own security. Is not only this team responsibility. Everybody in company should be responsible for the security part, especially the product management, like building the product, and the engineering. who's developing, they should be involved in such that they are key pillar to build a secure software, while you have the responsibility of implementing a program and everything. Their buy-in is critical.
Yeah, it's really easy to sell fear, uncertainty, and doubt, obviously. So you want to really make sure that you're not only feeding the business the FUD, right? There, and that it's an important part, right? Like if we get breached, these are the costs of data breaches. This is what happened to company X and Y and Z when they got breached. So making sure that there's an awareness of why we're doing that, but then taking it to the next level and helping the board, helping the C-suite really understand that security enables the business, that everything that we do is actually to help the business to succeed. It's going to help reduce downtime. It's going to help bring us customer trust. It's going to help do everything that we invest in really has return on investment for the business. So we really want to make sure that the business understands that we are here to help, but that also that security isn't just a security department problem, right? It's an entire business mindset that we need to get into. So as we go into application security, it's not just, well, security deals with application security. No, we gotta help the leadership understand that application security is the responsibility of every single developer in the organization, every single development lead in the organization, every single engineering manager, everybody has to contribute to good AppSec. And when the business really understands that, then the floodgates are open for everything that you need, for the people, for modifying or bringing in process, for the technology that we want to use, as soon as the business understands that it's not a security bubble problem, but that it is a business enabling thing and an entire business issue to do it right.
And once you have the business buy-in, we can transition into people, process, and technology. And I would say first comes people, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the coverage from a top-down perspective, as you said, leadership, right? Start with the leadership. Get the business owners to get into they have the stake in keeping a software secure. And while every company is more or less now a software company, some element of software is there even with the legacy companies as well. And the newer companies which are coming out, or like all the SaaS deliverable companies, have a bigger stake. But from a leadership perspective, it starts with the leadership, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then building what I've seen in taking an application security program, once you have that business support and you want to start building into all of those relationships with people, you want to make sure that good communication happens. Not, you can get the business support, but then you really need to start working at every layer within the organization. You need to help the product team understand why we build security in from the beginning. We need to help architecture start thinking every time that they're having an architectural discussion or planning, how do I get security, the right security pieces built in from the ground up? How do you make sure that the people that you have on the security side doing application security are regularly interfacing with the developers, are regularly interfacing with those security champions, to make sure that those types of relationships that are being built actually pave the way for good process, and then open the doors for understanding what are the right technology tools to be using.
And I have seen this security champion concept, which is being adopted by many companies, and really like thinking about how many security engineers you can have. But the problem can't be addressed, or when you're implementing the program, just by the set number of resources you have. So you really need to bring security champions from the development team being very integral part of the program.
Yeah, I really like to see developers who have an interest in security, who kind of have that that mindset. They get on fire for it. They start to understand, like, oh, these things actually are important, but they're also deeply embedded in the current development process. The way I see security champions almost as the gatekeepers between security process and development process. Like if we've got a couple different streams coming down, the security processes and the development processes, it's your security champions working with your security engineering team who are going to help to merge those two flows and get things working. And we can't do it all. We can't keep it all in that security bubble. We have to really start to integrate deeply into the existing process of the business of the engineering side, if we really want to be successful and we really want to push the program forward.
And bringing the security champions in the picture is like, from a first response triaging perspective, you can triage things early on, and then it can like filter down what you are giving it to actually engineering to get or fix the things, right? Because with the tools, as we talk about the tools, there are so many false positives, things which may not be even applicable to the engineering team or to the software which they are building. All those things can be filtered out before even coming to the development team and just exploding their Jira tickets, like with those number of duplicate tickets or something which they are not going to fix. So that noise between the signal and noise ratio, noise can be reduced through implementing a good security champion program.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I also want to add that security champions, you really want to make sure that they are not just becoming the bug hunters, the bug finders, and the ones who have to fix every little thing so that the rest of the developers can just continue writing their code. You want the security champions to be more in a liaison role, like you were talking about, where they work closely with the security engineers, but they help bring the most important findings and distribute those within the engineering team, because they're going to get really, really bored if all they're doing is fixing bugs on a day-to-day basis. Like that can be part of it, but really, for them to feel valued, it's really important for them to help control and really understand what the security priorities are by working closely with the security engineering team, and then bring those security priorities down to the existing development teams and in those processes.
Nice. And now, talking about the processes, and the way I see it, like, hey, just start with what's your current environment. Are you doing anything? Have you bought any tool and just you're using one tool and just getting those vulnerabilities ingested and creating tickets? Whatever you are doing, just start documenting and start with what you have today.
Right. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, right? You got to
exactly
say, here I am, and start to envision the future. And I think a big part of that envisioning the future is, we talked a lot about business support, but part of that envisioning the future is your policy framework, especially as it relates to application security and vulnerability management, where you start and you can build your policies as your goal. Hey, I've got policies and SLAs that are that say these are the SLAs for different types of vulnerabilities. This is what we aspire to. But if you're starting out a security program, of course you're not going to be at the level of where your policy says you should be. So you got to start working into, you set out the goal, and then you find a way to work towards that. But once you've set out the goal, what I love about policies is usually they have executive sign off. Usually policies aren't implemented without the top levels of the organization saying, yep, we agree with that. And it gives you both kind of gives you both a carrot and a stick, right? It's this is our goal, but if people are consistently flaunting the process or not being supportive of it, it gives you that, hey, this is the standard baseline. If you want to go and challenge the executive team on why you don't like the standard and the policy, feel free to do that. But this is what we've all agreed to. So let's keep moving forward.
So talking about carrot or stick, I would say, do you have some ideas around okay, what can be carrot for engineering team as you are collaborating? How you gonna show them their work is being appreciated on the sense that, okay, yeah, this is their progress. Risk to the software or calculating the security risk is one part, but showing the work, I feel that should be part of the process, that you are having some level of visibility in the work which is being done by engineering team. At the end of the day, they have to fix the issues. You can highlight all the issues they are coming up, but unless somebody is fixing it and that's being highlighted or that's getting visibility, that is very fundamental to the program.
Yeah. Celebrating success is really, really important. And that's why metrics are really helpful. So if you can show hey, last month or last quarter, you were able to close this many bugs, as compared to 2 quarters ago where it was just a lot fewer, whatever that is, whatever you can show to celebrate the success of, hey, you are getting better. Hopefully the teams are getting better. Hopefully the teams are focusing more, and that gives a hunger and it gives a thirst to people to say, hey, people are recognizing the work that I'm doing. The security team isn't just throwing over the fence a whole bunch more vulnerabilities and our work is thankless, but really showing hey, I appreciate what you've done. I see we've solved these really fundamental issues. And now, although, yes, we're going to give you a whole bunch more issues because we know of a whole bunch more, we still want to appreciate you for that. And I think helping people see that their work is meaningful and that they have made measurable progress really is a motivator. And you can use that to start working with leadership, to start working with engineers or whatever, saying, hey, we were here, let's shoot a little bit higher this time. Let's shoot a little bit higher this next time. And I think we can get here. And at the same time, don't be a slave to the metrics or to certain metrics, right? If you're just talking about how many vulnerabilities you can get closed, well, you could choose a whole bunch of really, really simple vulnerabilities that don't take any time. And if all you're looking at is numbers, you want to really, sometimes solving one really big fundamental architectural problem is better than closing 500 really small bugs that you would find in a SAST or DAST scan or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. But celebrating the success and celebrating the progress, I guess that's very instrumental. And I feel the program can only be successful when engineering team is responsive to all these issues which are getting highlighted, especially the critical ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And now transitioning from people, process to technology, that's through your experience. If you want to shed light, I believe you have discussed it in AppSec 101, but let's talk a little bit more about all the tool sets. This is something from your experience, like minimum tool set which you see being implemented?
Yeah. I'd like to talk about this also so that I don't repeat what I talked about as much in AppSec 101. I want to talk about this kind of in the framework of what people and process. So once you can understand who your team is, once you've started to build a team, once you've started to get involved in some of the processes, and you're using what you've already have, like we talked about step one, you know that you're going to need to build out more technological capabilities. And what you really want to focus on, and what I think is extremely important, is to choose the technology not based upon a Gartner Magic Quadrant, although it's a good guideline, not based upon any of that, but based upon how each technology actually fits into your own organization, how it's going to work with the people. So if you choose a SaaS platform that your security engineers just can't work with, they absolutely hate, it may be on paper the best one out there, but it doesn't work for your company. It doesn't work for your people. It doesn't work to fit into the business processes. It doesn't matter if it's on paper the best one out there. You got to find the right core technologies that support the business, that support the current process. So I would say for this slide especially, these are all important and kind of core technologies to be using, but really evaluate what's out there, not just by what it looks like on paper, but really go through those POCs, really get into the nitty-gritty with each of them. It's worth investing the time up front to get a tool that you love and that you can work with, even if it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of everything, then to get the technically best on paper product and then have to switch all of your business processes and force your people into something that may not work correctly for them.
Yeah, and also when you're implementing all these tools in the various DevOps cycle, the other thing which I have noticed is the noise, as you were talking about the noise to signal. And here the security champion program and the security engineer really focused on reducing the noise by grouping the findings and making sure that if the remediation is the same, so he's not going to create more work for engineering by just creating multiple tickets, reducing the tickets and sending the right ones to the engineering, then say, okay, if you fix this problem, 10 of these vulnerabilities found by these 5 different tools are getting addressed. So that also feels like, hey, it's not that it's just throwing over the fence. It's more like their work has been done and that has been reduced for you to just focus and get the right things done faster.
I agree. I think that's a really, really important point. If AppSec just becomes vulnerability management and all we do is just kind of open up the fire hose and throw a bunch of vulnerabilities over the fence and say, all right, deal with these, you're gonna lose all of those relationships that you've spent time building in the organization. You're just going to overwhelm people. And so taking the time on the security side to really groom out what is extremely important before you send that to the engineering teams, to show like, hey, we actually know what we're talking about. We actually care. We actually want to build good relationships with you. And so we're not just going to throw a bunch of low fidelity junk over the fence at you and let you figure it out. We're going to take the time and show that we can't do it without you, but you also really, really want us on the security side to need us to help sort all of this out before it gets over to the just fix it.
Yeah. So I guess in the conference this time, we are talking a lot more about the maturity model. And what we have discussed so far aligns well with the maturity model at starting with, okay, start with the visibility and see what you have today versus what you will bring for more visibility. Then doing the processes, defining the processes, people come first anyways, and then implementing the program, and finally looking at the metrics. And we talked about the carrot and the stick part, where how you can put more metrics and show people their work and see how we can motivate the people to be a very integral part of the program as such. Any thoughts around the optimization part of it?
Yeah, I think in the optimize, we've got our vision, and kind of like we talked about with some policy, we've got the vision that we want to go to, and we start to move into that vision through optimization. We start to build the program and say, hey, what can we do better? Constant cycles of saying, how can we do this better? How can we make this sprint better than last sprint? How can we make this quarter better than last quarter is really important, so that we can start gathering all of that feedback and encouraging our processes to be better.
Sounds good. So we'll end with the trends, since this is more like 201. As you are building the program, you want to be aware of the trends, and you want to shed some light, Luca, on the trends, what you are seeing in the industry right now.
Yeah, I think one of the things we got to be looking out for, especially that I want to focus on, that's different than I called out in AppSec 101, is that data-centric trend. I think understanding the data that we're protecting is, and what kind of data is it, and where is it in the organization, and where does it move, and who accesses it, is a really key trend that I see coming up in the industry. And that can also help us as application security leaders to start to prioritize where we need to put in protections and fixes and stuff. Again, if we just send over results of vulnerability scanning, we've created a mountain of work that nobody will ever get through. But really understanding what's the most important piece, and all of these things can help in that. AI and ML, privacy by design. You understand the very basics of what data is where, and how do we keep it private for people. All of those things are feed into as well some of this data-centric stuff. So that's the key trend I want to highlight towards the end of at the end of our talk here.
Sure. No, thank you, Luca. Data-centric is something, probably I have not even looked at it myself. So it's a good way to end, and a key takeaway to look at as you are looking at making it more future program ready AppSec program. So with that, I would say thank you very much. And it's end of our AppSec 201, future ready AppSec program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.